Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Ryan, aka Lethal Llama, and welcome to my second E3 2016 video. Buckle up ladies and gentlemen, because we're going frame by frame through over 8 minutes of new Horizon Zero Dawn gameplay, showcased at Sony's press conference. Let's get to it. It opens with a nice summary of the story. Our heroine, Aloy, has to leave her tribe in order to find the truth about the world in which she inhabits. We briefly see gates opening as the words, "But to get answers, she must leave her tribe behind," are on the screen. This implies that the gates we see are the entrance to where her tribe lives. There are also some people hanging outside, perhaps watching guard, and a huge mechanical structure laying destroyed just beyond them. If you look at it closely, it appears to be one of the giant robot dinosaurs from previous gameplay. Playing now as Aloy, an AI character in a watchtower warns her about machines in the valley.
Turn back! Corrupted machines in the valley!
This dialogue is probably related to the quest she's on, as it requires her to go in that direction. Up here is a crossroads, with two different symbols denoting what is in that specific area. I of course have no idea what they mean, but I'm sure it'll be revealed later, and it should be a handy way to help traverse this world. Interestingly, this area has a mix of lush greens and snowy mountains. Aloy can sprint, seemingly indefinitely. I also want to point out that almost all the elements of your HUD are absent in this demo, such as your health and compass, which you've seen in earlier gameplay. I assume it was taken away for presentation purposes, but there could be a way to minimize HUD clutter in-game. We spot some shell walkers, a new creature, and climb a nearby rock to get a good vantage point. Aloy crouches, as walking or running might startle the beasts. They appear to be crab-like, with containers on their backs. It seems like they scour the land for materials, gathering them on their back. For what purposes, I don't know. We then see a new ability of Aloy called a focus scan. It sends out a pulse that lets her take a better look at things in her environment. It's kind of hard to tell, but if you slow it down, we can see that it highlights any machine in blue, like the shell walkers, and actual animals in red, like the boar in the distance. This also shows that the focus scan has significant range. There are also two options at the bottom of the screen, highlight track and tag target. Highlight track is related to the set of arrows on the ground. These arrows denote the set path the shell walkers walk on. The one we're looking at is only off the path because it's gathering resources. Watch as all three shell walkers follow the path. The tag option automatically places your cursor on the machine you're looking at, and reveals to you some critical information. First, it shows off its weak points by highlighting them in yellow. We can see weak points on the part of the machine that's holding the crate on its back, and weak points on its two front claws. Second, we get a table of facts about the shell walker. We get the name of the creature, its affiliation, machine, and whether or not it's hostile. To the left of that, we see what's probably its level, 18, and the letter A above it, which I'm not too sure about. Based on info given to us later in the demo, we know that the symbols in this section are what it's vulnerable to. The blue electricity signifies that it's weak to electric or shock-based attacks. Beneath that is something different. There are two symbols connected by circles and lines, and a third empty circle. Your guess is as good as mine. Beneath that are the components that it's holding, meaning if you kill it, this is what materials you'll get. Finally, we see the vulnerabilities of the crate holders, the metal bits that are holding the crate on its back. It's cool that machines have different vulnerabilities depending on what part of them you attack. There's also a shield symbol, a broken shield symbol, and some more that we don't know about yet. But I'll get to the purple symbol later. As Aloy prepares to attack, we get a good look at her weapon wheel, which is separated into 4 distinct sections. The three on the left all relate to her bow. The one she currently has equipped is called the Shadow Hunter bow. It's unclear if you had this bow the whole game, or if you can swap it out for a different one by either crafting, trading, or buying. She currently has a hunter arrow equipped, which is probably your standard arrow, given its name and placement on the wheel. Beneath the wheel, we see what you need to craft your currently selected weapon. I think this is a dev build, because there's no way she's gotten 1,500 of those things. In this case, we need 1 of one material and 2 of another. There's a prompt beneath that says hold X to craft, which means you can craft on the fly. Aloy swaps to a hardpoint arrow, which costs more materials to craft. Its name implies that it's the stronger arrow, perhaps capable of easily penetrating metal or armor. Bringing up your weapon wheel also shows off your current weapon and ammo count on the bottom right of the screen. She sneaks up behind it, nocks her bow, and fires. 1 hardpoint arrow is enough to release the crate on its back. While the shell walker is stunned and confused, Aloy quickly raids the crate, getting a metal vessel, 4 blazes, a wire, and a sparker. Back when the arrow hit the shell walker, it immediately deployed a front-facing, hexagonal shield for defense. It's attached to its left arm, which it also uses to attack with. When it leaps, we get a really good look at the machine, and also see a third weak point that was tough to see earlier. It's the most difficult to hit, as it's blocked by arms, legs, and a head, but a direct shot to its core will probably do some serious damage. Knowing that a normal arrow won't do well against its shield, Aloy swaps to a weapon called a Shadow Sling, and picks a shock bomb to go along with it. Notice also that time slows down while you're picking your weapon, letting you make important decisions in the heat of battle. The first shock bomb is shot and lands a direct hit on the shell walker. The next shot is close, but I also think it hits the body. 2 bombs are enough to stun the machine. forcing it to lower its shield. Instead of finishing off the defenseless beast, she focuses on its friend, who's not too happy with her. Her first shot on this one hits the shield directly, which seems to knock out the shields, if only for a few moments. The second is a body shot, which gets it stunned like the first. Aloy makes a decision to flee the fight, having gotten the resources she desired. This makes a great point that this game isn't just kill everything that moves. You've got to pick your battles carefully, as you can easily be overwhelmed. Before moving on, there are two small things about that fight that I want to talk about. The first is when the second Shellwalker's shield flashes immediately prior to it leaping at you. Strangely, the first one didn't do this before it attacked, so I'm not sure what it means. Second is that we see that Aloy can lock onto her enemy. If we slow down here, the camera zooms in and focuses on the Shellwalker, Legend of Zelda style. She can now strafe around the creature while looking at it. Great for one-on-one fights, not so great for groups. Moving on, we see, wait, back up. Did Aloy just slide 10 feet across the ground for no reason?
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Moving on, there's a cute bunny on the ground, and then we get a good look at our menu for the first time. Up on top, we see tabs for skills, inventory, crafting, map, quests, and notebook. Skills relate to Aloy's abilities, and my best guess for the notebook is that it records any kind of story-related findings, or perhaps data on machines or different kinds of enemies you encounter. The rest are self-explanatory. On to the map. There are several options at the bottom, all of which are typical to this kind of open-world game. It's cool to see the option to fast travel, but it's currently faded out because we're not hovering over an area that we can travel to. On the map itself, we get a good look at the roads and paths we can take to various destinations, as well as some icons. This icon refers to the herd of Shellwalkers we just saw, and this icon refers to a herd of Broadheads, which we'll see later. The final icon denotes where your current quest is leading you, which, right now, is off-screen to the west. Up next is our first look at crafting. There are 3 options on the first page: mines and potions, ammo, and upgrades. We pick mines and potions, and then mines, and see 3 different kinds of traps. First up is the shock trap. On screen is its description, some attributes, and its resource cost. Notice that we got a few of these from the Shellwalker. The electric trap is placed on the ground and is triggered by proximity to enemies. It deals no damage, but stuns enemies. I really have no clue what these attributes mean. The first symbol looks like an explosion of sorts, so perhaps it means damage. But that doesn't make sense because the description specifically says that it deals no damage. The second bar is filled up completely. Maybe it's radius? Or something else? The last symbol looks kind of like a cracked shield, similar to the symbol we saw earlier. My best guess is that it's how effective it is against armor, but I could be completely wrong. And wait, it does no damage, but sends out an electrical blast? Next up is the explosive trap, which is triggered by proximity or by taking damage. Notice that it takes more materials to craft this trap than the first, probably because this one deals heavy damage, while the first one only stuns. The 3 attributes on the bottom have different stats, the first category being almost full, the second being empty, and the third having only 1. Sadly, we don't see the Fireblaze trap. Underneath each of the traps on the left, it shows how much you can carry. It's currently 10, but how much you can carry might be upgradable. The last note about crafting is this option at the bottom that says create a job. Had I not happened upon a Kotaku article explaining what this means, I'd be totally lost. Quote, in Horizon Zero Dawn, the create a job option will generate a quest to give you the items to buy the equipment. That sounds amazing. So when you want to craft or upgrade something, but are short on materials, you hit this button and the game designs a quest to get you these things. A very creative solution to an extremely annoying occurrence in an RPG. Thank you, Patrick Klepek. Back out in the real world, and the bunny from earlier is gone, implying that time does not freeze when you're in a menu. Soon, a frightened AI runs across a bridge, warning you about a corrupted machine.
Help! Help! Watch out! It's corrupted!
The machine is a watcher, which you've seen previously, but now it's red, and emanates some kind of dark energy. A shot from her hunter bow goes right into its eye, but doesn't seem to do much. For the first time, we see a watcher attack, and it kinda just hurls its body at you. Notice that his eyes flash bright red before it attacks. When it lands, it leaves behind a puddle of red gunk. And if we rewind, it's clear that it leaves a trail of this stuff wherever it goes. With the robot now in melee range, Aloy uses her spear or staff to finish it off. Thanks to info from Kinda Funny Games' Colin Moriarty, we know that Aloy has a light and heavy melee attack. This was probably the latter, due to its relatively long windup. As soon as the Watcher is killed, the corruption goes away. Looting the body reveals a new kind of resource, Corruption Metal Burn. It appears that killing corrupted enemies, which appears to be stronger versions of other enemies, will net you more valuable materials, probably used to craft rarer items. Also, the corruption left on the ground might hurt you if you walk over it. The AI warns us that there's a demon running wild in a place called Mother's Rise. Our first look at a dialogue tree shows us that we can ask about certain topics or just straight up leave the conversation. I can't see this mechanic having any kind of effect on the story, but I do like having the agency and being able to choose when to ask about what. Aloy then tells him to keep running for a place called Mother's Crown, which may be the place we saw when the demo opened. We see the map once more, but much more zoomed out. It looks like this is one unified section or area of the map, with branching paths leading off to other areas, like this path leading to the mountains. We also get to see a lot more icons. On the bottom right looks to be the symbol of a village, which is most definitely the one we saw in the beginning. We see now that it has a back entrance. There are other village icons scattered about, with different symbols on them, which probably relate to what kind of vendors or shops each one has. There are also some more creature icons. To the very left looks like a cave entrance, which has me super excited to see what kinds of robot animals live in caves. Most importantly though, is the quest icon, with a red circle denoting the range of the mission area. When highlighting over the quest location, it says Corruption Zone, and beneath it, Corrupted Zone Level 1. This strikes me as the kind of thing that will appear at various points throughout your journey, some related to the story, some not, with different Corrupted Zone levels. I imagine a kind of system in place where maybe you get rewards if you remove all the corrupted zones from a certain part of the map. But that's just pure speculation. Aloy mentioned that she will not make it in time, which I'm sure was just for the purpose of the demo. I can't really see time missions being a part of this world, but in order to get to the village quickly, she wants a mount, and a broadhead sight is the best way to get one. We pull out another weapon of ours called a rope caster, which, unlike the other weapons, has no variations. The broadhead looks like it functions similar to the deer-like creatures of last year's demo, with similar green cancers on its body. And even though the game labels this as a broadhead sight, there's only one here, so it's probably random how many are at a site each time you visit. 2 shots in the broadhead is enough to make it fall to the ground. I love how it actually matters where you shoot your rope caster, as it can land pretty much anywhere in the body. Aloy walks up to the creature, focus scans, and then immediately shoves her staff into its head. Blue tendrils go from her staff into the broadhead, and then all over its body. Its head also opens up and morphs. This is the process of overriding, turning a hostile machine into an ally. I'm excited to find out how many creatures we can do this to, and what effects each will have. Apparently, Watchers hear the commotion and attempt to attack Aloy and her new steed, but they escape just in time. Notice also that these uncorrupted Watchers had the same attack as the one that was corrupted. It kinda seems like there might be an auto-ride function, very similar to The Witcher 3, where if you hold a button down, your mount will trot along the path. Along the way we see beautiful vistas and exotic machines and animals alike. All of them seem to be living in harmony too, with the deer robots not batting an eye at the huge flatheads. As we pass by a herd of robot deer, seemingly just drinking water, a closer look reveals something interesting. It looks like they're actually drilling into the ground. Their head is buried and there's dust spouting out. Perhaps this is how they fill up their canisters or how they recharge in a way. We finally arrive at the village and leave our mount behind. There's corruption remains on the ground and house next to you. Then we see a new machine, called a Corruptor, corrupting a Watcher by shooting red missiles at it. A focus scan reveals that it's weak to fire, and that it has a vulnerable spike launcher, which we see highlighted in yellow. It's also level 18, like the Shellwalkers. Aloy sneaks around and takes down the corrupted Watcher in a cool animation, then prepares to fight the Corruptor. She swaps to her fire arrow, as the Corruptor is weak to it, and takes a shot. Despite it being made of metal, it catches on fire pretty easily. Its tail swipes at Aloy, but not before flashing a bright red light, much like the Corrupted Watcher did. This might be the tell all Corrupted have before they attack. Another flash of light is followed by a huge leap attack. Aloy's dodge roll is critical in evading these kinds of attacks. Also, destructible environments, yay! We then see an explosive trap in action for the first time, which looks like a mini balloon. Aloy tricks the Corruptor into walking over it, then sets it off with one of her arrows. The explosion knocks it down, but only for a second. The next attack by the machine is a piercing tail lunge, also preceded by a flash of light. Aloy then whistles for her broadhead companion, which takes a while to get to because it's so far away. Another new attack for the robot has it picking up a rock from the ground and hurling it at you. This one is not preceded by a flash of light, but probably because the build-up for it is so long. This implies the red light is only used for very quick attacks, giving you a chance to react. Another whistle and the broadhead is right next to Aloy, but right before that, the Corruptor had taken a significant amount of damage, and it flails around in frustration. I imagine for fights against bigger enemies, there are certain preset times when this happens. For example, each time 25% of their health is taken off. It's a much more immersive system than a health bar, which I like. It's also cool to see, as the battle goes on, how enemies' bodies reflect how much damage they've taken, like the smoke pouring out from this Corruptor. This should make it intuitive to determine when a fight's almost over. Aloy remounts the broadhead, and is able to use her weapons while riding it. A small detail, but the broadhead can knock down small trees. I'm curious how the controls work while riding a broadhead in battle, since I imagine it'd be tough to control where it's moving while you're trying to shoot your arrows. It might just run in a set path around the enemy you're targeting, avoiding environmental obstacles, but I'm sure you can take control whenever you want. Up next is the attack it used to corrupt the Watcher, a volley of red rockets. It seems to be unable to hit you because of how fast you're moving. Then we get a first look at a second bow in her arsenal, the Karja Sharpshot bow. She picks a concussion arrow, which has a purple effect around the tip of it. If we recall, the spike launcher had a purple vulnerability. This also explains the purple vulnerability from the Shellwalker. And lo and behold, Aloy fires at the spike launcher and knocks it off in one shot. Now, the Corruptor can't fire any more rockets. In future battles, taking that out first is probably the best idea. Aloy uses this kind of slow-mo arrow shot occasionally. We saw it in past gameplay, and we just saw it now. It definitely gives you a chance to line up a shot by slowing down time, and it may also provide additional damage. So why would a player ever not use this? My best guess is that it's on some kind of cooldown, used best against weak points and to land the final blow. Then, the robot leaps and lands right on Aloy and her broadhead, which dies immediately. We can tell because of the prompt that appears, allowing Aloy to search the body. Also, we see its crushed corpse, so that's a good clue too. Notice also that taking heavy damage tints the screen yellow, instead of traditional red. The Corruptor leaps again, but misses completely. At first, I thought it could be a thing where the machine gets sloppier the more damage it takes, but after looking back carefully, the reason is obvious. At the moment the machine flashed a red light, signifying it was about to jump, Aloy was heading in that direction. Had she kept going that way, she would have gotten crushed. But she changed direction and tricked it. This may also mean that at the point it flashes red for any attack, it's already planned its attack route. That's how it was able to jump and land on a speeding broadhead. But, as we see, it can be easily manipulated to our advantage. Also, we see corruption metal burn on the ground, as well as a plant or flower called Valley's Brush. With the beast having taken a lot of damage, Aloy decides to swap to a rope caster. After one is attached, it attacks with a tailspin. It hurts Aloy, but does not break the rope. There was no yellow tint on the screen when she got damaged, implying it only happens when you take massive damage or are very low in health. 4 ropes are enough to bring it down. I imagine the ropes working like Pokeballs. They're much more effective against enemies with lower health. You wouldn't use your Pokeball against a full health legendary, and I guess you wouldn't use your rope caster against a full health Corruptor. What happens next is really cool. Having taken significant damage, it reveals a glowing canister on its head. Aloy swaps to her hardpoint arrow, and does her super focus shot for the final blow. What a fight. Aloy then remarks that this robot looks ancient, unlike any other she's seen. Looking back, she's right. Every other machine we've seen has kind of the same general visual theme, white silvery plates all over them. But this appears to be a pure black, evil being. Sadly, the demo cuts short before we see what it's holding, but you can bet that it's some super rare materials. It may be a quest item. This whole 8-minute chunk of gameplay was amazing. I didn't think it was possible, but this got me more excited for the game than the reveal last year. And even though we got a lot of answers, there's still a whole lot of questions. Gameplay-wise, what do all those symbols mean? We figured out what the fire, shock, and purple thing meant, but what about the others? Also, how many different kinds of robots can you mount? Can the Corruptor corrupt every kind of robot, including those big old dinosaurs? I would not want to fight that. Story-wise, what are the Corruptors? What's their goal, and why are they hurting other machines? I'm sure all will be answered in time. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If I missed anything, or if you have the answers to things I couldn't figure out, let me know down in the comments. Also, stay tuned for more E3 content. Once again, my name is Ryan, aka Lethal Llama, and I'll see you next time.